Roddy Piper, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest of all times. Like,
I completely agree.
I believed every time he stepped in there, he actually had anger for that other guy, and he was punching that guy. What was that like? I mean, how'd you get hooked up with him to do a podcast?
That was a miracle. This is how it happened.
There he is.
Dude, the greatest. This is the LGN from like '84, I believe. Nerd alert, I had this doll.
It's an action figure. It's not a doll. It's not a doll.
It is an action figure.
It's not a doll.
It was Christmas of 2008. I did shows for our troops deployed overseas. It was the best Christmas I had as a grown-up. And we didn't have access to Wi-Fi at a lot of the bases we went to. 2 days after Christmas, we're at the airport in Dubai, and I finally can check my email. And there was a message in there from the Improv, and it just said, Rowdy Comedy with a question mark. I know you're a huge wrestling fan. Would you want to do a show with Rowdy Roddy Piper? And I was like, yeah. I did the show, and I didn't know what to expect, because it was like meeting a superhero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, he had filmed an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so at that time, that night, his hair was like bleached a little bit for that episode, and I was the only comedian that had wrestling-specific material. And I did this set about watching Piper's Pit, and that was the day I became a man. Like, because that's really what I believe. When he smashed a coconut on Jimmy Super, yeah, I was like, how come nobody's helping?
Yeah.
There's no justice in the world. And that was the day I became a grown-up.
Yeah.
So then I do the whole bit on wrestling and stuff, and he just came up and hugged me. And he was like, you were great. We became friends. He came to watch me at the Comedy Store. I started to help him build his wrestling stories together, do an act. He's the only professional wrestler ever to become a paid regular at the world famous Comedy Store in Hollywood. So cool. But one of my favorite Roddy memories happened here in Phoenix in conjunction with WrestleMania. We were doing a show 2 nights before WrestleMania, and I had been friends with Roddy for like 4 months then. We were hanging out like 4 days a week, working on his act. I meet his son for the first time, Colt, and it's so cool. And I was like, now I'm getting to meet Roddy's family. And we got into the car to go to the comedy club, and Colt was kind of like working as like his road manager / security. And he goes, Dad, Uncle Bob wants to come to the show tonight. Can we get tickets for Uncle Bob? And he was like, yeah, we can get tickets for Uncle Bob. And I'm like, Uncle Bob, probably an accountant or something. I just figured he was like some nerdy guy. And then we were backstage. Then about 10 minutes later, his Colt opens the door. He goes, Dad, Uncle Bob's here. And he goes, we'll send him in. I'm like, great, I get to meet Uncle Bob. And I look at the door, and this guy ducks under the door. And I look up and I went, Uncle Bob is Sergeant Slaughter. It was the greatest, it was so cool.
I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've watched Roddy Piper, and like, he was the best part of the show, just because he would come down and he didn't call them matches, he called them fights.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that I loved. It was like, I always say when I see a good match, it's like, that was a good fight.
Yes.
Because that's the way he's got so many great stories.
So many great
stories.